been a year since I've moved from home. I remember I moved out a day before Christmas Eve, so December 23rd. And at the time I was 21, now I'm 22. I remember being 18, telling my parents that I was going to move out by the age I hit 21, regardless if I had made it or not. I didn't remember telling them that up until today. Now I live about 6 to 8 hours away from home. I'm from the LA area. Now I'm out in San Francisco. I live right by the beach, living with my girlfriend. At the age of 18, I did believe that I was gonna move away from home. But as time got closer, I lost a little faith in myself. I wasn't making any progress. I didn't see myself actually moving away. I guess this isn't really a how-to video, more of a this is what I went through, which isn't pretty crazy, so hopefully someone out there can relate. But I guess I'd start as a kid. I always grew up knowing I wanted to be in business, not exactly sure what. I would sell little bracelets that I make with my sister in elementary, to sell it to relatives and people we knew. I'd sell the chocolates, but that was really more of a school thing. I remember my mom and my aunt would make these gelatins and marshmallows. Like, they'd put different kind of shapes in them, and they'd put like a flower shape inside of the gelatin with food dye. But me and my cousins would end up selling these things. We'd go door to door. We'd go to restaurants, and I just remember having fun selling to strangers with them. But we would always be accompanied by an adult. And then fast forward, I guess, a couple of years to middle school, I ended up moving to Mexico. So I was probably 14? No, maybe 12. It's like 7th grade. And this looks nice. And when I got up there, I really got to change my perspective on how others are living. I got to see different family members and how they live. We were doing okay. We still had our dad here in the States sending us money back home or back in Mexico. and we were able to live by. My mom didn't have to work. I wanted to work. I ended up going to school over there, and the reasoning behind us moving was, well, two different reasons. My parents wanting to start a life over there, and then they told us it was because we were also misbehaving as little kids, which we were. But I ended up getting a job over there as a grocery bagger, and over there, since I am underage, I am 12 years old, bagging people's groceries, and I was getting tips, so people would tip me here and there, and that was my first job. I would always go help my dad out as a kid in elementary at his job, but this was my first time job. And then I also would go to school with my backpack full of candies. So I'd sell candies for a couple, over there it's pesos. So I'd sell that, make a little bit so that I can just pay for my food. I ended up buying a Mexico jersey. I bought a dog. I ended up leaving him in Mexico. And then fast forward, we moved back, and at the time my mom wasn't here yet. She ended up coming a few months later, which is a story in and of itself. But fast forward, I guess, graduating, I was year 2020, so it's the COVID year. And I remember that year before graduating, I remember telling a friend that we're talking about what we're gonna do after graduation. I told them that I was gonna start a business. I don't know if they believed me or not, but I told them I was gonna start a clothing brand, which I did get the start of it a few months later. I think at the age of 19 or 20. Never launched it, but I just knew I was gonna start a business getting out of high school. And then so I ended up graduating within that year. I think 2019 or 2020, I was working at Domino's. So I had a part-time job, and then after that I ended up moving locations and became a manager there. And while working there, I was working on studying for my real estate license. So I did end up getting my real estate license, and then I became a real estate agent. It didn't go as I thought it would. I was there for about a year. This was, I think, 3 years ago. I did a couple open houses, put in an offer on a house, didn't close it. By the time that house did sell, I was already gone. I remember my parents asking me why I'm not showing up to the office anymore, and I just kind of felt discouraged that it was taking long. And then I did end up leaving, got a part-time job at a bakery. I only worked there for like an hour a day. It was 7 days a week, and I would only go there like 2 hours max. I just get my job done, and then I just go home. So I'd have a lot of time to do whatever I want. So I would, in between, start little side hustles. And then that job I stayed for a little bit. It was okay money. It was like $500 a week, which isn't bad for 1 hour, 2 hours work. I think it was 500 or 600. And then after that, I was learning different things. And I guess I'd go into detail at a different time as far as like the lessons and businesses I was trying to start. But I ended up finding a job through a friend. He was only there for I think 2 weeks, and we went on a camping trip. So he told me about this job. I was like, see if you could get me in. I did again, ended up getting in. And then this was, I believe, this was 2 years ago. And well, almost 2 years ago. And I was there for about 4 months, something like that. And then we ended up branching out to a different office at a different state, which is how I ended up moving out at the age of 21. And at that job, I was working 7 days a week. There were a couple of weeks where I did take a day off, but it was 7 days a week. We'd work almost all day, which is another story in itself. But I did end up leaving there after 6 months, which is a couple months ago. So I was there for about a year in that business, and we ended up moving. So I'm originally from LA, like I mentioned, the LA area, and I moved out to Oregon, to Vermont after that, in the span of a couple months, and then to San Francisco, and then I stayed here, and then I was looking for different jobs. Ended up also starting a side business. Got my first client within a couple of weeks of leaving that position, and then I ended up getting a job, my current position, which I can go into detail at a later time. But this video was mainly just to share my story and kind of show that, you know, we're never really content with our current situation. I'm always looking for what's next, what's better, how to get better. And yeah, this video wasn't really about the morning routines I did to move out, but just to share my story, and also I guess to document the journey. So this is the start, and some days I look back not too happy with how I'm doing, but then some days I'm just driving and really happy about how I can do whatever it is I want. I can just go on a hike at night and go on a drive, but this is, I guess, to show that you could do it too. But yeah, thanks for watching this far, and I'll be doing more videos. I guess let me know in the comments what you guys are looking for, and I'll be sharing more.